Alright, folks. Can everyone hear me? Are we all about ready? Let me know if we can hear me, and then we can start, because, I want to talk about this show. Aye, everyone can hear us. Great. Let's get started. Let's talk about this fucking show, guys. How are we all doing? We are getting right into it today. We are getting right into it. How is everyone? Before, I guess I should ask, how's everyone doing? Everyone okay? We all feeling loose? We all feeling good? Nice to see everyone in chat, ready to talk about this fucking show that has been in my head, causing me a significant amount of anxiety and distress for almost a week now. So I hope everyone's ready for some, perhaps, 2 hours of ranting about this show. I've just eaten a massive curry as well, which was really nice. It was a good curry. So I'm a bit like burpy. And the way to fix that is to drink copious amounts of wine. So, I guess, without further ado, buddy, we will be given a full overview of this show. Simon J, we will be talking about this show for a long time. Don't you worry. We will be talking about that today. I'm sorry, Mithril, that your card died today. That sucks. Is it Thanksgiving in America? Happy colonialism day to America. Well done on all the genocide. Kudos. I hope you have a nice day with your families. So, today we are talking about London Spy. Yeah, John mentions genocide. Yeah, come on. We all know. Today we're talking about a movie called a TV series, 5-part miniseries called London Spy, which I watched when I was on some chemicals, not really high, but not exactly sober. I watched this show, and let's start, and I'll give an overview of the first episode to start with, because there are things that will allow me to set the scene from just going over like the first episode of this show. So let me begin. London Spy is a 5-part miniseries following the story of a guy played by Ben Whishaw, famous for Paddington and the much superior Paddington 2, who has a boyfriend who's very secretive. Turns out he's a spy, and he gets murdered. And this is basically the first episode, and you're like introduced to all these characters. Ben Wishaw's character is like an older, like sort of mentor figure, sort of like friend, played by Jim Broadbent, also from Paddington and the much superior Paddington 2. And Jim Broadbent's character, was also a former spy. So he like helps him navigate this shit. So the first episode of the show, right? This is going to be stream of consciousness. So if you're not following me, say something in the chat. I might not correct it or explain it because it might just annoy me. But just say anything if you're not following. So first episode, right? Let me show you the character of the boyfriend, the one who's supposed to be a spy, because it's not based on the body in the bag case. It's like playing on that. It's written by an American, which is very, very clear. It's so clear that this was the spy boyfriend wasn't in Paddington or the much superior Paddington 2. He was in Kingsman. and the far inferior Kingsman 2. But let me show you a picture of the boyfriend, because two of the most unbelievable things right out the gate of this show are that this guy here is both a super genius and a caring lover. Now that is unbelievable to me. Look at his eyes. He has the empty eyes of a labrador. Look at the way he's dressed. He is dressed like a Tory special advisor, not known to be particularly caring lovers, not known to be particularly sensitive. Now this character is supposed to carry the sort of emotional weight of the first episode of the show, when you're sort of seeing the relationship build together, and you're seeing them supposed to be like falling in love and getting on nice and well. This is the guy that you're supposed to go, oh yeah, I can see they have charisma. They don't. Neither of them. They don't have chemistry. They do not have chemistry. There's good sex scenes. They don't have chemistry. Now, that's enough of that. Yeah, it's him. There's like, I'm sure he might be a perfectly lovely guy, but he is not a super genius. He has vacant eyes. His acting is bad. It is not good. He puts on this strange, like posh, really posh accent, which is weird. But he just, this is unbelievable. Now, the thing that got me first of all, right? Something that really got to me early on in this show was that when they're going through like the motions of like establishing the romance, establishing the love between this fucking Tory Labrador and Ben Whishaw, as they go hiking. Hiking is they go to a beach, and he drives them out to the beach in a fucking massive shiny Land Rover. Red flag number one for me. I'm already wondering if I might get murdered if I'm driven in a fancy Land Rover. Red flag number two. He gets out the car, opens the boot, opens the trunk of the car, and finds a huge fuck off case, like a massive trunk with like buckles and like fucking belts, and that's already red flag number two for me. I'm not feeling chill about Ben Whishaw in this situation. I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming he's about to be murdered or something terrible. I am on fucking edge, right, at this moment in time. And then he opens the trunk. This motherfucker opens the trunk, and inside is rows of alphabetized maps. Alphabetized maps. Why? Why is this a thing? If someone drove me into the wilderness, opened a trunk to reveal nothing but like alphabetized maps, I would run. Ben Whishaw doesn't seem to give a fuck. He glances at the maps and is like, yeah, sure, alphabetized maps from the fucking... I know people who hike, right? People who hike, you can do you get an ordnance survey map app on your phone, and it gives you routes. You don't need the fucking alphabetized, scaled maps of to walk along the fucking beach. I don't know where they're going. They're going to the beach, and he's got it's an insane thing, and it really got to me. I don't know why, but like every time I saw these maps, I was just like, run, because this guy is obviously gonna murder you, right? Am I wrong? If you came across calling the chat right now, if you went out with a guy who looked like fucking this, right? You went out with this guy, and he took you out to the middle of nowhere in a shiny Land Rover. He opened his boot to reveal a massive trunk, and inside were fucking hundreds of maps. Would you feel safe? in that situation? Would you feel like this was a romantic situation? This fucking guy, right? No. It really got to me. This is like 10 minutes into the show, by the way. This is me 10 minutes into the show, already kind of mad about what's happening. And we have a long way to go yet. We have a long way to go yet. So that's first sort of thing going on, and so we go out with this guy, and they hang around. It's established that he's Ben Whishaw thought he was straight, but it turns out that he's actually never had sex with anyone before. He's a virgin. I can believe that. They fall into this big loving sort of thing. They have a weird moment where he meets Ben Wishaw's. They meet Jim Broadbent, and they sort of have this weird vibe where Jim Broadbent basically recognises that he's a spy, and then they go about their day, and he starts acting weird, and then he disappears, and Ben Wishaw's like, oh, where the fuck's he gone? Where's my fucking Labrador genius boyfriend man? And he turns up. He he gets like these keys delivered to him through some weird means. Ends up in his flat, and he goes up to the attic where there's like a big setup of like BDSM stuff. There's drugs, and there's the trunk with the maps in it. Right, the trunk with the maps in it is in the corner, look, I love Labradors. I like a Labrador. I don't want to fuck one. Okay? Right? That's sensible, right? That's a reasonable position to take, I think. I think that's a reasonable position. So they get it goes up to that. The case is in the corner. Ben Whishaw goes up to it, opens the case, and your man's been murdered. He's inside it, murdered. And that's basically like the end of the first episode. And at this point, this episode of the show is like, it's decent. It's not great. It's fine. It's kind of, there's interesting things going on. And I started having theories about what was going on in this show. And they were much smarter than the show ended up being. My theories at this point were like, Labrador guy was sent to seduce Ben Whishaw to get in touch with the obviously slightly shady Jim Broadbent character. And the problem was he actually fell in love with him, and that compromised the mission, and so he was murdered by MI5 or whatever. And then there'd be lots of like intrigue about like interpersonal dynamics and like who can you trust, who can't you trust, that sort of thing. I thought that's where the show was going. I was wrong. There was absolutely no way for me to guess where this show was going. Hello, Marcus. We're talking about this fucking show today. Hiya, Sophie. This show, like that was my sort of theories about the show. Oh boy, does it start going off the rails from here. Now, I can't remember past the first episode what is going on with particular episodes. I've not memorised it. I didn't watch it again because I have a limited amount of sanity and time, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't take that stress in my life. So we're just going to get some stream of consciousness while I rant about the various mad things in this show from now on. Now, the first thing in the new episode that really gets me is that the police start interviewing Ben Wishaw's character, and they start with like, you claim the victim was your boyfriend, and Ben Wishaw's like, yes, Alex was my partner for 8 months, and the police are like, well, how could he be your partner if you didn't even know his real name? And you're like, oh shit, so he's lying to him about all that stuff. And then it turns out the guy's real name is Alistair. And what is annoying is that Alex is short for Alistair. I have an uncle, Alistair, who goes by Alistair, Alexander, Alec, and Alex. These are interchangeable names. These fucking writers, they fucked up having a fake name. It's insane. Like, if you're trying to make a show in which the characters lied about his name, just like call him David or something. Like say, oh, his real name was Alistair, you've been calling him David? Fine, that makes sense. Not Alistair and Alex. It's like saying, oh, you thought you knew your boyfriend David, but he's actually called Dave. Like, this annoyed me so much. It's like have you never been to Scotland? Have you never met anyone called Alistair before? Like, it's because Alistair and Alexander are the same name. Like, it's just the same name. This is so annoying. It really annoyed me, and it comes up so often throughout the whole show. People are like call him by his real name when Ben Whishaw refers to him as Alex. It's like, Alex is his real name, and it's not even like a real name in the sense that's like that's like, oh, I'm making a choice by referring to him by the name he told me was his name. It's just short for his full name. Sophie, I think it was on Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime, I think. It was written by an American, which, you know, that's how we're getting this. And it happens so often. Like, there's whole like moments where like the drama is built around him refusing to call him, like, people refusing to call him Alex like compared to Alistair. It drove me insane. Every time I did it, I would be like, I'd turn to my flatmate and be like, fucking, they're doing it again! They're doing it again! So that was one thing. That was one thing that really got me. A second thing about this show, as a whole, it has the most jarring tonal shifts of any show. Yeah, okay, Sophie, London Spy, right? That's a name that sounds like, it sounds like a placeholder name that they've forgot. They're like, oh, what's the name of this show that we've commissioned? It's placeholder, we're calling it London Spy for now. And then it's like they forgot to, like, rename it. They forgot to, like, call it by a proper name and just sort of farted it out. Like, clearly this is the sort of show that was, like, commissioned by a pilot that was significantly better than the rest of the show, and they must have had a better name in mind and then just forgot, right? That must have happened. London Spy. What kind of wine am I drinking? I am drinking Valle de Casablanca wine of Chile. It's a Sauvignon Blanc. The reason I'm buying it is it was on deal from £8.50 to £6, and it is 13%. Little trick for all of you kids out there, not kids, legally not kids, you're adults out there. Oh, Brittle Mastodon, it is absolutely a show that was meant to take place in the UK. It 100% was. It's like, the show is like an advert for London in a lot of ways. They're always walking up Hampstead Heath. I've just remembered this. The character Ben Whishaw plays lives opposite the MI5 building. Like, why? Why is that a thing? There's just all these shots of him staring at the MI5 building from before he even knew his boyfriend was a spy. It's just like, it cuts to him staring at that building. Like, it's very weird, very convenient. It sounds like another movie made by the guy who made Samurai Cop. Yeah, I mean, no, Sophie, it's not your fucking Labrador Tory spy who lived opposite the MI5 building. It's the Ben Whishaw character who wasn't a spy, is getting sort of tied up in it, who's lives opposite MI5. So, oh my god, what was I thinking? Oh, yes, the tonal shifts of this show, because, like, as I'm describing it now, it might not drive you kind of mad. You're like, oh, this is a ludicrous show. It's got, like, mad stuff about it. Sounds quite fun. but like it has like moments that are good, that are like adequately good storytelling, and like really dark moments. Like there's a moment where Jim Broadbent takes Ben Whishaw to, but I didn't learn any of their names. Why would I? It takes Ben Whishaw to Hampstead Heath because, of course, because of the view, and he takes him like through into the park into a tree where he revealed that Jim Broadbent revealed that he contemplated hanging himself from that tree because he used to be a spy and was caught in the anti-gay raids that the MI5 used to do. Like he was seduced by a guy, met him in a toilet, and turned out that guy was a mole for MI5 trying to like sniff out gay folk. This is a real thing that happened. Like this is a real thing that MI5 did. It like went after people that suspected of being gay. You know, a lot of MI5's history is like parts of it. Sometimes they like went after gay people to be spies because they thought gay people had a secret, so they're naturally good at keeping secrets, so they'd be good at being spies. And other times they completely went, people who are gay shouldn't be spies because they're good at keeping secrets and they can't be trusted. So they did these horrible raids, like raid things on suspected gay spies, and that's what happened to Jim Broadbent's character, and it's like a really like emotionally, it's like a good moment. It's like an emotionally valuable moment, and the relationship between Jim Broadbent and Ben Whishaw is like good. It's like the most solid part of the show. But then, like a few scenes later, think something like this will happen. Like, so in like the second or third episode, Ben Wishaw's character gets train tickets from the supposed parents of your Labrador Tory spy man, and he goes to the train station and he waits there, and these two characters show up. The Scottish guy who's in lots of shows is very gruff, and this woman. And he gets taken to a place that's obviously not a home. It's like being transported into the 1970s, and it's like super weird and like super tense. And Ben Whishaw like figures out, he's like, you're not Alex's real parents, are you? And then there's like a big angry stare, and they get like a phone call, and the angry Scottish man goes, That was Alex's mother. She'd like to see you. And they get in the car again. This was fake parents. Fake parents. That's what happens in the world, right? That's what happens in the world. Fake parents. This is like a couple of scenes after this like really deep, heartfelt moment. So it's like very weird. So he takes him to the real parents, and it's a castle with a moat because of course it is. And this woman, the character actor woman, everybody recognises, is standing outside this castle with a moat. And this is the best performance in the show from this woman, because it's fucking insane. It's a fucking... hey, Cian, and Kieran, we're talking about this fucking show that I've been talking about for about a week now. So this woman's standing outside this castle with a moat, and she starts giving this performance, and she goes... she's like, hello, I am Alex's real mother. He lived here with me and his father. And it cuts to like this close-up shot of a random window and a guy going like an old guy going like this. Like, fucking... the most insane cut I've ever seen in my life. It was I don't know how to fully get across how insane this moment is. Where like they're standing in front of a fucking castle, and this woman is like, oh, hello, welcome to our castle. And Ben Whishaw happens to look in the direction of this window where there's one fucking crazy old man with a like nightstick is gurning at him. It's fucking insane. It's an insane an insane moment, and it's like jammed between these weird, like, super serious things about like gay rights and liberation, gay liberation, within the security services. So already you're like, ugh. So, oh my god, I'm taking a big sip of wine. Yes, Harris. It is like going between the night manager and something, and not even Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is smarter than this. It's like going between the night manager and, like, I don't know, a secondary school play about spies. It's the weirdest vibe of any show I've ever come across. So, this woman, the mother, the mother of Alex, she is the best character in the show, except maybe one, and she talks to Johnny English maybe, and she talks to Ben Wishaw's character, and is like, she's like, my son was a genius. He was the smartest man in the world, and he had so much to give. You are not quite as smart, are you? And Ben Wishaw's character is like being all offended in that, and she starts talking about it. She's like, my son wasn't gay. He wasn't. And then she pronounces this word in like the next word in a way that only people who have been to like the poshest private schools and like Oxbridge can pronounce. I can't even do it justice in my voice. She pronounces the word homosexual like this. She says, my son was not a homosexual. Like there's an S. I don't know how she does it. There's like an S in there that's like the linchpin of the word. She's like, my son was not a homosexual. He dabbled in all things sexual. Everybody was a puzzle to him, including the sex. And like the weird, like, she starts going on about this and starts talking about like, oh, he dabbled in men, in women. Sex was but a game to him, and you were his ultimate puzzle. He loved to give people what they wanted, and what you wanted was a homosexual. And it's like, it's the weird. It's I don't know. It's kind of amazing. She like that. This actress knows what shit she's in. Like she's in the shittest show on TV at the moment, and she realizes it, and she fucking hams it up in a beautiful way. And then after this shot, Ben Wishaw's character like gets his own back because he's like he's a bit cocked. He's like, I might not know about books and smarts and stuff, but what I do know is sex, and there's things you can't fake. You can't fake inexperience, and I know when someone's inexperienced. And he's like cheapy Jacky, chappy Cockney, like, and it's like it's a good scene. It's like, this is like a part where you could see how the show could almost be good, because he understands the guy through his body, through his actions, and not necessarily the super academic way of whatever the fucking weirdo Cruella de Vil mum is talking about. But this moment is immediately undercut from Cheeky Chappy Guy, because the the woman, oh man, the mum stands up after Ben Wishaw says this, and she's like, oh, you're quite smart, really. And she's holding a cigarette, and she's in this fucking room, and they've been drinking brandy, and there's books, and it's like dimly lit. And she stands up and like sort of smirks with a cigarette in her mouth, and she's like, she walks towards a mirror, looks herself in the mirror, and goes, I suppose you think I'm cruel. Maybe I am. And like takes this big fucking draw of the cigarette, and like, and then it cuts to like, a couple of like, a couple of You know those see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkeys? It cuts to one of them in the most sort of both on the nose and bizarre bits of imagery I've ever seen in my life. As this woman walks up from, Samuel, he's not boasting about how inexperienced his dead lover was to the dead guy's mum. He's like noting that the dead mother is obviously lying because she's like, my son wasn't a homosexual. And it's like talking about how many people he fucked and like how sex was just a game to him and how it was like really like nonsense. Their relationship wasn't built on anything, and he's like, I know this is a lie because you can't fake the inexperience that he had, and that's what drove her to stand up and go, I suppose you think I'm cruel. Maybe I am. Like turn away and the. Why would his mum know? Because she knew everything about him. These are the sort of questions that if you start asking them, then you start falling into like trying to explain the inexplicable. You start asking why did she feel the need to have a fake mum and dad? Why would she feel the need to test his intelligence for understanding a fake mum and dad before going to the show? Yeah, it's Annabelle, it is high camp, but what's absurd about it is it's like the high camp wedged in between these like real moments of like sincerity and odd moments of competence. Oh, fucking hell. A really good example of this, right? So later in the show, it is revealed that Ben Wishaw's character has been infected with the HIV virus by the police during when they first took his blood, and that's insane. That's an insane plot point. It is like the whole cast is Nicolas Cage. Jim Broadbent is pretty good in it, because he's good in everything. But this mad plot point to come along, and it's like, and there's like these like real emotional moments between Jim Broadbent and Ben Whishaw, where Ben Wishaw's like explaining how mad this all sounds, and Jim Broadbent is talking about how a time like he took Ben Whishaw to the hospital after he thought he'd been infected one time, and like it was one of the hardest times of his life, and it's like a really like heartfelt moment, and there's tears, and it's really like sad, and Ben Wishaw's character then goes to a living with HIV support group, which is this is like in between these moments of high camp. He goes to the support group and he starts talking, and you think like maybe he's gonna like talk about how hard it is to live without people you love, and you're gonna like get some emotional moments of like honesty in this show. But what happens is Ben Whishaw starts recounting the deal in which the security services have murdered his boyfriend, framed him for the murder, and then infected him with HIV at the police station, and now he's going to go against the whole fucking collected forces of the security services to try and understand what it was, why it was that your Labrador Tory boy was murdered. And the whole, like, everyone's just silent in this group, and one guy just goes, "So what are you going to do about it?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking take down the security services." And it cuts to like this weird ass fucking scene where they're in a swimming pool. And there's like this scene is so weird. It cuts from the HIV group to this scene where Jim Broadbent and Ben Whishaw are in a swimming pool, and they're swimming underwater, and it cuts to this old woman looking at Ben Whishaw and is like slow motion waving at him, and he starts waving back, and this goes on for like 5 minutes, and it's And it's so weird. I have no idea why that happened. What it was supposed to be about. Why... Lady Horatia... doesn't matter. Like, we're talking about a show that's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life, so none of it's going to make sense. And this scene goes on for a while, and then that scene is immediately followed by Ben Whishaw and Jim Broadbent in a sauna, talking about how they're gonna take down the security services. Annabelle, this scene, it was maybe not 5 minutes, but it was uncomfortably long. It was a really weirdly long scene, in which it cut back and forth between Ben Whishaw underwater and this random old woman underwater waving at him. It was so weird. It was so weird. And then they go to the steam room or the sauna, and Ben Whishaw and Jim Broadbent are talking about how to Innocent Fugitive. This is not a secret live stream. I said I was going to be talking about it this week. So yeah, Jim Broadbent and Ben Whishaw are talking, and they're talking about how to beat the security services, and then this is a good time to talk about the amount of like uncomfortable close-up shots in this show. Like, all the shots are like right up on faces and like weird angles, and that isn't ideal when you're not exactly sober and you've got a big TV and you see like 4K image of Jim Broadbent's sweating face on the TV. You know, it wasn't ideal in that situation. And this is like throughout the show they have these really weird super close-ups that like focus on just the lips. The hood is being worn. It focuses on just the lips and like, or just a bloodshot eye, and it's so strange. But what happens in this scene leads to one of the other most annoying things in this show, where if you want to see more of the hoodie, Innocent Fugitive, there we go. Hoodie for you all. This is one of the most annoying bits in the whole show, from my point of view. Lady Horatia, it's Gramsci. It's not Emma Goldman. So what happens is Jim Broadbent is like, we need to find someone who has a great mind, because what we're gonna do, to take down the security services is we're gonna need a genius. We're gonna need someone who's smarter than everyone else, because this is one of the shows where smart people are written by people who are not smart, and it leads to the most hammy fucking shit in the world. So the plan is the Jim Broadbent formulates a plan where he's going to go to the president of the University of London, to find a student who has a great mind, and then it cuts to my university. Which is weird. It goes to my university building in Senate House in a part of the University of London. The University of London, by the way, is a conglomerate of institutions like Cambridge, like Oxford, where there's different schools among that conglomerate. There are thousands upon thousands of students. It's like KCL, UCL, Imperial College, my university, I think SOAS is part of it, Birkbeck, hundreds, thousands of students, and they go to the president of the University of London, who's Jim Broadbent's friend, and you go you go into my university, and they go into the library, where there's for some reason security guards, like hundreds of security guards and like metal detectors about, and they're guided to the is Imperial not part of it anymore? whatever. There's hundreds of, like, there's loads of different institutions. And they're guided, Jim Broadbent and Ben Whishaw, who've both got like a glow-up scene before this, where they're like, wear your spy uniform, because we're entering the stratum of society where people judge you by just the cut of your suit. And they go into the University of London. They get guided through the library by several security guards for some fucking reason. Because apparently the president of the University of London needs an entourage, needs security guards, this highly paid bureaucrat. I don't even know if there's a president of the University of London, but if there is, they don't need fucking security guards. What's that about? And they're just sort of wandering through the library, like among these books, talking about these two students, as if she would know who they were. They're like, oh, did you know fucking Labrador Alex, the super genius spy man? And she's like, I keep a note of all of my students of note. It's like, all of your students of note? What are you fucking talking about? You're the head of an institution of thousands of students. What do you mean all of your students are note? Which ones aren't of note? Who are you talking about? Like, are there particular students you think are worthless? Why is this considered a good thing? Are you not just a piece of shit for doing this? And they're asking, like, do you know of anyone that was his friend? And she's like, oh, he didn't have much in the way of friends, but he did have a colleague. And she starts talking about this colleague as this. There's this guy, and like the intimate details of the relationship between these two students, who she apparently had, being the president of the University of London, which, this annoys me on like a moral level, because all of these highly paid fucking bureaucrats are vampires of the university system, and I hate them to get any positive fucking press, even if it isn't a mad batshit spy show. It insults me on an emotional level that this person is framed as having any fucking care for any student whatsoever, and not just getting hundreds of thousands of pounds to administer and fucking funnel money to private institutions. Fuck the bureaucrats of the university system. I may have got sidetracked there. I hated this bit so much. So anyway, like, she like gives this person his a rival or someone who knew your fucking super genius Toby man. Toby. I've given this guy the name of my old Labrador, Toby. That is quite an interesting look into my mind. So she gives. They talk about like this friend of the guy who's also got like a super genius mind. He's like a super smart guy who's maybe envious of your boy Alex or Alistair, whatever his fucking name is, because it's the same name. And they're like, okay, cool. Can you get in contact with him? We'd like to meet him. And at that point, they decide to go. They leave the fucking University of London. Very weird. Very, very weird moment. You know, I was talking about this earlier today, actually. Apparently, lots and lots of stuff were filmed at my university. Stuff from Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises was all filmed there. Lots of James Bond shit was filmed there. So much stuff is filmed at my university that I didn't even realise. And this is one of them, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. They're like walking up dark corridors of Senate House, which is like as if they're like sneaking around. It's fucking weird. Anyway, they leave Senate House. They leave the University of London, and they go to like an old club, like a gentleman's club, not in the strip club sense, in the terms of like old gentlemen, like posh fuckers, like Tory MPs and lords and stuff, where you go to, I don't know, smoke a cigar and do misogyny, I guess. That's what they do there. I don't really have much window into these matters. So they go to this club place. By the way, Jim Broadbent's character, who's part of this club and knows all these people and these lords and shit, at one point goes off at Ben Whishaw for saying that he's part of the part of the fucking establishment. He's like, how dare you call me part of the establishment? And then he then later, a few episodes later, takes him to an exclusive club where he's like talking to Tory lords and shit. And yeah, they retire for cigars and misogyny. This wine, by the way, quite good. And they're sitting there and they're waiting to talk to this guy. They're waiting to talk to this posh fucking guy. You know who is played by? It's the dad of Veruca Salt in the Tim Burton Willy Wonka movie. That's who it is. And they meet with this guy, and Jim Broadbent asks him, what can you tell us about the murder of Alistair, fucking Labrador man, whatever his name is? And fucking Tory Lord looks at him and is like, this is quite most irregular. This is quite an irregular thing to happen. Guffaw. He's like fucking furious about it. And Jim Broadbent's just like, I'm asking you to be indiscreet, so I'll be discreet and fuck it. And the guy's like, I will tell you. How about I tell you a joke instead? And then proceeds to like, this moment is so weird to me because it's supposed to be like a moment of like, I don't know, intrigue. Like you're supposed to not be able to like figure it out, I suppose. Like this is supposed to be like, he's giving a code. How are we supposed to understand what's going on here? And he tells this joke. He's like, a Englishman. He says a weird word for a Chinese person, which is, they didn't need to do that. An American, a Russian, an Israeli, a Saudi Arabian walk into a bar and agree. And then, like, the music starts going, remind me, I'll get to the music. And they tell this joke, and it's like, and they agree on something. And Jim Broadbent goes, yes, starts stroking his chin. And Ben Whishaw starts like going, I don't understand this because I'm just a chippy chappy cockney man. And it's like, and it's obviously like, I will remember to talk about the music. And it's obviously like, oh yeah, these are supposed to be the country. If these countries agree, then something is bad. Something could have happened if this guy's research could have gotten into the world. And like earlier on in the show, the research is indicated by Marxist Paul, welcome. We're getting drunk and streaming and talking about the most insane show I've ever seen in my life. Earlier in the show, the first episode, he comes across this guy's work. He opens up a laptop and it's like a fucking web of numbers. It's like a spider's web of numbers zooming in and out of the screen and like going in different directions, and you're like, this is a number thing. This is like he's into a number thing, and this is apparently his research. Apparently this research was so dangerous that all of these different states and their security services have agreed that it's far too dangerous to be left in the hands of someone who's alive, and this is why he's getting murdered. We'll stick a pin in that, because when we get to the end, is this why he was getting murdered? I'm not really sure. Innocent Fugitive. Let's see if we can watch a trailer at the end once I'm done with this. So Jim Broadbent explains to him like, these people would never agree, and Ben Whishaw looks fucking shocked. Annabelle is fully both. I've not even done the bottle yet. Once I get done the bottle, that's when the fucking darkness starts, and I will get really mad about this show. Mm. So that all happens, and there's a moment like a strange moment uh, a few episodes before. There was like a kind of good moment of the show. It was another one of these like good moments where Ben Whishaw goes to like someone he used to hang about with when he was, I don't know, in a worse place or something, who's like some musician or someone, and he's played by Mark Gatiss. Now normally when you see someone being played by Mark Gatiss, you're like, oh, we're about to get some horse shit. We're about to get something bad in terms of acting and, you know, general vibe. But Mark Gatiss plays this creepy music guy who's like into coke and weird shit, or like meth or whatever, and weird shit, and he plays this like really creepy guy, and Ben Wishaw's trying to like get information about like this escort service that apparently has something to do with the murder of Alex Alistair, fucking Tory boy, and he like goes on about he'll only give this information if Ben Whishaw will like smoke some crack and fuck him or something. It's implied, and Ben Wishaw's like, nah, you're all right, mate. We're not doing that. So. So what happens after he meets Jim Broadbent is he gets into this taxi, and the taxi has no door handles that you can be let out of, and he's taken to this situation, and he's changed clothes, and he's taken to this bar where it's like where someone dressed exactly the same as him comes in, and it's revealed that the Secret Services hired an escort to try and get your man, your fucking smart boy, smart Tory boy, to fall in love with him and fuck him to break up the relationship. I'm not clear on what that whole bit was about, but it's fucking weird. And I'm not going to just like move on from talking about this bit because I think it's kind of upsetting me. It's a really strange bit where like I don't know why. I mean, it seems ostensibly to like make him, I don't know, feel like maybe he didn't know really his Tory boy, but the whole thing has been established that he did know his Tory boy the whole time long. So like, what? It was all very weird. I'm misremembering half of it. I mean, it was bad, so fuck it. I'm probably giving it more coherence than it actually deserves. So the music. I was going to talk about the music. So this show, anytime something spy like happens, the music from basically like GoldenEye for the N64 starts playing. Starts being like boom, boom, boom. It's like super like fucking. Again, the tone shifts of this show are insane. It's some of the weirdest tone shifts I've seen in a show in a long time, and that's included in the moments that the fucking GoldenEye music starts. Yeah, it's genuinely like when you're making YouTube videos and you're looking for music, you type in royalty free fucking horror music or something, and it's like it's like they typed in royalty free spy song into YouTube and just sort of YouTube downloaded it into and then shoved it in a show. It's bad. So, disaffected Gen Xer. There's so much of the like, this is what a smart person is like stuff that is consistent with a lot of Sherlock like a lot of Sherlock, this is what a smart person is like, kind of weirdness. Like, smart people are naturally arrogant, and they're naturally like not concerned with the likes of emotion. Tamash, I've talked about the president of London, of London University. I got very mad about the president of the University of London, and how, I've talked about the president of the University of London. It made me mad. What was I gonna? Oh, so after the whole fucking finding a fucking super smart guy to help him out with shit, to help them understand what was going on with your man's death, they end up meeting in in a warehouse where you stash this pen drive that contains the work of your boy, of your fucking empty head Labrador Tory boy, and it's stored in a pen drive. They crack the pen drive. It's not exciting. It's like the password for the pen drive is 1, and it's like because he's the first guy, or the first person he's been with. So the password for the pen drive is 1, and they're waiting for this to see if this other super genius who's friends with your boy turns up, and we get one of the best entrances of the show when this guy turns up, followed by the revelation about why it was that your man was killed. So has anyone seen the TV show Hustle? About con men, the BBC TV show Hustle. Because what happens in this moment is, rounding the corner, wearing a jacket with the collar up, maybe like smoking a cigarette. I don't know if I've added that bit myself because it felt like it should have happened. Maybe not. This guy rounds the corner and he rounds the corner and says like something dramatic like, "Huh, he didn't really have friends," or like, "Huh, how's that so sentimental?" or some bullshit about like emotion. He's like, I'm above it all, being a super genius with emotion. And they start talking about, and then they start talking about trying to convince this guy to help him out. And him and Ben Whishaw have the conversation about, did you really know Alistair or Alex or whatever his name was, because it's the same fucking name, and people are really uptight about calling the guy called Alistair Alex for some reason. And your fucking professor character is like, you didn't really know Alistair. I knew he was going to change the world, not my world, the world, with his incredible big brain. He has the fucking smartest brain of brains, and you couldn't ever have appreciated that. Have you ever read a book? Did you really know him, or did you just know how he fucked? And it's like, just incredibly boring. Like, if this was a professor in real life, fire him. You know, he's clearly not a good guy. Not worth. It's all his maps. The fucking maps, man. The maps come up again. There's a different, like, at one point Ben Winshaw's character burns a bunch of maps. Why? Like, what is it? Like, there's no like emotional moment to them. Like, the maps aren't like hinted at in any way except me noticing he has a trunk full of them. There's no like focusing on the maps previously. It's not like they bonded over orientation or whatever the fuck. He just carries his map with him and then burns it. It's fucking weird. The maps, fucking hell, the maps. Anyway, after this professor's outburst about how Ben Whishaw didn't really know the guy, He just knew how he fucked, because you don't know someone unless you know their work. Like, oh, okay, sure, you clearly never met any fucking PhD student who the limit of when they talk about their work is like panic and depression and not going into it because nobody else really knows what you're talking about because you're immersed in a topic that only you think about. Like, this is such a weird way to think about super smart people, as if super smart people is a thing that exists in the real world. They bonded over orientation in as much as that one beach. They went to that one beach. They didn't consult a map on that beach. They threw rocks into the sea, and then one of them called the other one innocent, and that was it. Fucking, I don't know. The maps upset me. I don't like thinking about the maps. I don't like thinking about the maps. It upsets me. It's disturbing. It's weird. It makes my skin crawl thinking about all those maps. Thinking about all those alphabetized fucking maps. Oh man. I'm gonna pour another wine and then we'll get talking about the revelation of what Smart Boy McFucking Suitman's work was. Because if you thought this show was fucking dumb before the revelation about what the work is that got him killed, wait until you hear that revelation. Okay, so we'll get to the parents. I've talked about two of the parents. We're gonna get to the parents at the end, like once we're near the end. So, what after this whole conversation about like whether or not he knew fucking Smart Boy or not, the hustle man, arsehole smart man, decides he is gonna help them understand what it was that that Alex or Alistair was working on, and what he's typing at a computer. Oh man, it's like the most hacking scene in the world. He sits at this laptop and it opens it, and all these like equations start scrolling on the screen and like zooming in and out of the screen like the sum of, and graphs and fucking spider webs of numbers start flashing up on the screen, and the guy's like type, and like pressing enter and like, whoa, we're typing, and numbers and pentagons connected by lines because that's how maths works. And the guy eventually goes, holy crap, he actually did it. Like something like some mad sort of declaration like this. And what? 1 second. He stands up from his laptop, walks towards a window, takes out a fucking pen and uncorks it and starts writing on the fucking window. It's one of those. We get a window writer, folks. I felt like fucking ringing a bell. It's like, oh, of course someone in this show is going to start writing on a fucking window. Because everybody has to write in a fucking window. Why do they have to write in a fucking window? Like, the guy's a professor. I carry around a notebook. I'm not a professor. People carry around notebooks. They're small. Just like, take out a fucking notebook and write what you're going to write on it. But this guy's like, I've got a pen, so I'm going to fucking write on the window. And and then he starts to explain. Oh no, it's not in a building. It's not in like a house. It's in a abandoned warehouse, which has Wi-Fi access probably. Or no, it's on a pen drive. Forget that. And he starts explaining, yes, what he needed is a whiteboard. Carry a whiteboard with you at all times, in case you've got to explain pentagon numbers and fucking motherfucking, oh, we're going to talk about the zoo. I started talking about pentagon numbers and tracking fucking code going across a screen super fast. And like, oh my god. I'm gonna start talking about the zoo now. We're gonna talk about the zoo. Oh, we're still talking about London's right. I'm liking chat. Chat, I would like you right now to offer your predictions about what the zoo means. What do you think the zoo means in this context? Bearing in mind, this is the same scene that we're talking about. He's writing on the whiteboard, and zoo is the central concept that is the linchpin of this next scene. I want people to tell me right now, what do you think zoo means? Zachary Pearson, Intelligence Headquarters. Wrong. Annabelle, they go and see penguins and have a lovely day out. I wish that was the case, but wrong. Is it a zoo for AI or something? Tinfoil paint, you're getting closer, but still wrong. The faster the code rolls, the smarter you are for reading it. Yep. Barcode on a zebra? Wrong. A human zoo run by billionaires? I wish that was the case, but wrong. Biological warfare? Wrong. Zoo. Covert spy discussion over the lion sounds? Wrong. All good guesses, for perhaps better guesses than what the show is actually offering us. Viruses? Wrong. Code zoo where they have code fights? Wrong. Zoo is what happens when this guy is School for Super Smart Children? Wrong. The animals are actually people in that Tusk movie? Wrong. Training raccoons to do heist? I wish that was the case, but wrong. They really hurt you, huh? They did. This show broke me. This show broke me on an emotional and intellectual level, and I can't stop thinking about it. I had a great time watching this show, by the way. I don't know if it comes across. I had a fucking ball watching the show. It was incredible. It was terrible. I hated it, but I love it. It was a wet. Everyone should watch this show slightly high, basically. It was good. It was terrible. Don't watch it, but do. So, zoo. Smart Boy is writing on the windows, and he starts explaining that when some people search the word zoo, how do you know they mean zoo and they don't mean commit a terrorist attack? And he's like, when you write zoo, when someone searches zoo, they also search children, they also search schools, they also search fucking, I don't know, things related to families. But when a terrorist searches zoo, they don't search these things. And so we're building a system of linguistic fucking neural programming that we can tell whenever someone is lying. And somehow they get from zoo, it turns out that what has happened is that essentially, so the phrase that is used is that when the 9/11 terrorists planned 9/11, they used the word zoo. That is like a sentence that is said in the show. When the 9/11 terrorists said we're going to the zoo tomorrow, it actually meant they were going to commit 9/11. Because why wouldn't that be the case? Why didn't we need the 9/11 terrorists saying the word zoo? An event that we famously have a fairly good grasp of what happened. Well, they said the word zoo. How could we have known that these terrorists funded by a state that the US funds and is famously, into terrorism against the US was going to commit a terrorist attack? Well, they said that they were going to the zoo tomorrow. And get this, they don't have kids. So how could they be going to the zoo if they don't have kids? They're committing a terrorist attack. That's what they've done. Rockley. So an algorithm to catch terrorists that will also catch writers and people with ADHD, that is still smarter than what's happened. It is not even that it's an algorithm to catch terrorists. What it is essentially, it is an algorithm that can tell when people are lying. So it's like, it collects things together to tell people. It's essentially, the best way to think of this is that he's invented a magic book that tells you when you're lying. He's invented a magic book. It's not, like at one point they say, oh, so it's a lie detector. And they're like, no, a lie detector you have to consent to. As if that's the main problem with lie detectors. And not that lie detectors are famously unreliable. Hence why they're not allowed in fucking courts. And as if like people know when they're lying or what a lie is, or if people react all the same way to lying. These are unimportant questions because these are too much for the show that's been... Reminder, by the way, while we're talking about this is a show that had heartfelt conversations about a man almost committing suicide because of real life attacks on gay members of the secret services. This was a show with heartfelt conversations about folk that they knew who had died of HIV/AIDS, and now they're talking about magic books that can tell when you're lying. This is the same show. Oh my god. Whew. So he's invented a magic book. He's invented a magic book that can tell when people are lying. And everyone around them is like, this could change the world. Imagine if you could tell when the president of the US was lying. And I'm just thinking like, if someone came up with the technology to tell if the president of the US was lying, just like, get him to misinform him. Like, it doesn't seem that hard. Just misinform the person that's talking. What if, like, you just release press statements? How do you know if they're lying there? How does the press officer know if something's a lie? This magic book, however magic it is limited. And it's upsetting to me how limited the magic book is and how angry everyone is about it. So basically, after this, the four of them, you're fucking Jim Broadbent, Ben Whishaw, the president of the University of London. For some reason, she's still involved. The president of the University of London is still involved in this fucking conspiracy to take down the security services. She's still there and is like, ooh, yes, I'm going to take down the security services. I'm the president of the University of London. I'm a highly paid bureaucrat who's going to administer the end of MI5 somehow. And then this professor wanker who's like carrying a briefcase and drawing on fucking windows is like, yes, this could end the world. Let's see if we can, bring down the security services to clear the name and to, fucking get the research into the world. Whatever they're planning, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they're planning, it's bullshit. It's fucking weird nonsense. I'm reaching the end of the bottle of wine by now, so I'm getting more angry and less concerned with the facts of the matter. So, oh my god. So, what's happened here? I have just realised that my headphones don't have the headphone bit in them. I don't know where that is. Sorry, that is a digression that doesn't need explaining. Anyway, so they go to meet in this bar to talk about bringing down the security services or whatever, and just remembering this scene in this bar. It's like a weird vibe. This bar. It's like it's got like mildly like Asian drumming, but they've not told the actors who are drumming who what rhythm they're drumming in. So the beat's like boom 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 boom, and the drummers are like. It's bad. It's just tell the actors the beat that they're drumming along to. Just do that. It makes sense. A weird bit of the show I noticed. And they meet up, and like the three of them, for some reason they arrive separately, look at each other across the bar and like nod. They're like, you're here, and it's not like then they'll just go and sit on the same booth together. just like they arrive separately but just go and sit next to each other. That in my book isn't good spying, but the one who isn't there is they'd never go to the zoo, unfortunately. The one character who isn't there is Jim Broadbent, and in a great scene, a great and frustrating scene, Jim Broadbent is in this taxi and he calls up Ben Wishaw because he's noticed that the taxi doesn't have door handles, and he's like, "Oh, I'm about to get murdered," and he says, "Oh, I've got to say something. I'm going to die," or something like that. He says, "There will be a note." That's all he says, and then it's like there's like a good 30 seconds where you like he's not dead. He's just sitting in this taxi as like they blow gas in, and he's not dead yet. And I'm just thinking like. You could have told him so much more in that situation. You could have been like, they've got me in a taxi, they're pumping in gas, there will be a note, don't believe the note, they're murdering me. And you know, just say that. And, you know, what's happened is they murder him and they hang him from the tree in Hampstead Heath. In this scene, they make sure to show you Hampstead Heath again, because this is also an advert for London. They show you Hampstead Heath again, and he's hanging from the tree that he almost hanged himself from before. Except the sort of emotion of this scene is significantly undercut by 5 minutes earlier talking about Al Qaeda saying we're going to the zoo as the word. That's the word for they were gonna do 9/11. What? If this was the case, like we're going to the zoo, how would you know that the zoo specifically meant we're going to conduct a terrorist attack on this date at this time against these targets? What an insane thing! It's a magic book. It's a magic book. I'm thinking too much about it. It's a magic book. It's less of an advert than Paddington 1. Paddington 1 is more of an advert for London than London Spy is. Like I said previously, Paddington 2 is the far superior iteration of Paddington 1. Paddington 2 is much better. And that's a fact. You can quote me on that. Take me to the bank. It is absolutely true. So, you know, Jim Broadbent's dead. That's that. They go to the funeral. Oh yeah, and there's two Ben Wishaws. But there's a weird. Let's talk about gender for a second. So in this show, Ben Wishaw lives with a woman, and the woman has basically no screen time. And that's odd to me. Like it's implied that they're really close, but like, why would you not lean on that friendship? Like yeah, she's a prop. You've got this like ready-made character who's obviously like supposed to be close to Ben Whishaw, and she's just like there every few scenes, as like just like a lamp in the corner. This is just this woman. It's like if I was writing this show, I'd be like, you could use this character to do interesting stuff. Like maybe she doesn't believe what's going on. Maybe she thinks that Ben Whishaw really did kill the fucking person, the Labrador Alex boy. And maybe it's like she was spying on him or whatever. Maybe she's going to the press to talk about it. Whatever. Maybe she's just supportive. Maybe she's like plays a good role in grounding him. It's just like this weird sort of interesting lack of focus on this obviously important character, like supposedly important character in Ben Whishaw character's life. So she's at the funeral along with an actor who I recognised from places. A famous actor as well is there. Anyway, basically what happens is not Alex Alistair. Fuck off. This makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. Just do a modicum of research. Just a tiny little bit of research. Just like a little smidge of research on what a different name from the name that you have your character. Like, I don't know, just like, it doesn't even have to be that different. It could have been Andrew. Andrew and Alex are different names, and it could have been like, I preferred being called Andrew. Sure, that makes sense. It doesn't feel that different. Why? What? You're fucking idiots. Do a tiny, like a smidge of research. You don't even have to understand the fucking web of magic book numbers that you're flashing up on screen. Just get the names right. That's all I ask. That's all I want. Why? I've become Italian. I'm so exercised about what this is. About this fucking show. Yeah, so basically your arsehole professor man comes in to the funeral being like, they killed Jim Broadbent. We've only now reached the incoherent rage stage of the night? I thought we reached that a while ago. Yeah, basically he says, they killed Jim Broadbent. I'm out. I'm not going to try and take down the security services. If they're going to kill Jim Broadbent, they might kill me. It's like, that's a fair point. I wouldn't do it at a funeral, but whatever. And your arsehole president of the University of London is also like, I don't want to die. Let's maybe not do this. Let's maybe like chill out a bit. And then, I just remembered what happens next. So what happens next is it turns out Jim Broadbent has sent the president of the Tim Ash, we're not at parents yet. So it turns out Jim Broadbent has sent the president of the University of London a copy, or not even a copy, just Ben Wishaw's diary, that he's written like song lyrics and poetry and short stories in, and he said it was like potential but lack of follow through, and then the president of the University of London is like gives Ben Whishaw a fucking student tour of the university, and it's like sit here. She like takes him to the library. Which is a nice library. I will concede that point. Senate House Library is nice. They don't let you have coffee in there. They don't let you have food, and wind blows through in an annoying way. But it is nice. It's a nice looking library, and basically she's like, sit here and maybe consider applying to the university. This doesn't come up again. This doesn't come up again in the rest of the show. It's like, What's the point? This is just a fucking thing they've shat out. I don't know why they did it. It's just like try and wrap up President of the University of London's story arc, where she's just like, I found a student who likes writing a journal? I don't know. Is he into the university? No? Yes? Who knows? I forget what happens next, but we're going to talk about the three parents now. So, stuff happens. I can't remember. It's probably not important. But eventually, your man Ben Whishaw goes back to the mother. You know, Cruella de Vil. You think I'm cruel? I suppose I am. So, yeah, he returns to the mother, right? So, reminder of what's happened previously in regard to the parents. Previously, what we've seen is that he got train tickets, appeared at a station, waited at a station for a while, was there with angry Scottish man and some women, and during that time, something I forgot. We'll get back to three parents in a second, but in the first episode of the show, Ben Whishaw comes out of his flat and your man, fucking Tory square face rectangle boy, is there, and he looks round like this at Ben Whishaw. He does this. Now, what also happens a few episodes later is your angry Scottish man does a similar move but more severe. He does this. And that was just very fun to me. I enjoyed that. He's not the real dad, but fuck it. So reminder then. So what's happened? He's gone to this hotel, and there's these two people, the Scottish angry one and the one who's like ends up being the nanny of Alistair, whatever. And then he goes to see the real mum, and the real mum says, "Hello, I am the real mother of Alex, and this is my husband." And the husband's sitting in the corner, in like a window like this. So we eventually return to the mother, and we get the revelation that actually, the weird guy comes back. Not actually a hotel. Yeah, they claimed that the hotel was Alex's home, but like, you know, okay, we'll come back. Put a pin in that. So, the dad starts the weird husband starts shouting shit. I don't know. It starts like shouting like, "Don't trust him. Don't trust this character. You'll get yourself in shits. Fucking." I'm a posh old weird guy with the hair of Bill Bailey. Fucking weird shit. I don't know. And she's like, "Fuck you, I will tell him." Or like, "Fuck you, I will talk to him." She doesn't tell him what happens. And Ben Whishaw figures out that Cruella de Vil isn't really the mum of Alex. But in fact, the mum is the person who was the nanny, the original fake mum. So we've got a fucking triple fucking blind about who the mother is in this situation. It's like, is this the mother? No. Is this the mother? Yes. But wait, no. It was her who was the mother in the first place. They don't know who the dad is. The dad, like, they never say, "Oh, there's a dad here." Fucking weird old man with Bill Bailey hair is just angry and around. I don't know. They didn't need it, but it turned out what had happened was the fake mother, who Cruella de Vil. I'll refer to Cruella de Vil as Annabelle B. The dad is not a Labrador. The dad is a fucking creep. The dad's an absolute fucking creep. He's not a Labrador at all. He's a horrible little guy. He looks like more like Jimmy Savile than anyone else. Anyway, so Cruella de Vil. Cruella de Vil is the one who is the posh mum who lives in the castle. The real mum is the one who was the nanny, who was originally there with the Scottish angry man. It's all very weird. 1 second. So it turns out that Cruella de Vil was a former spy. Because fucking of course she was. Cruella de Vil was a former spy and didn't get what she wanted. Okay. Let me re-explain. So the original parents were angry Scottish man and the nanny, right? The originally what we think are the real parents are Cruella de Vil and the fucking guy, right? Oh, I do have a whiteboard, but I have plans. I have plans on the whiteboard. So I can't use the whiteboard right now. I've actually got smart work on that. So original fake parents are nanny and Scottish man. Second round fake parents are guy and Cruella de Vil. The real parent is the nanny, right? Is the nanny, the original nanny, who we thought was the fake mum, is actually the real mum. And there is no dad. There's no dad. That's basically what it was. And it turns out that Cruella de Vil was a former spy herself who didn't get her fucking, I don't know, just desserts for being a spy. Nobody treated her well. It's basically a girl boss story. She's like, nobody treated me well. Like, they chucked me at the security services, even though I was much smarter than everyone else. No Pentagon numbers on the whiteboard, just scrolls of my next chapter in my next video. Maybe after I've finished discussing this this fucking show, I'll talk about the next video, just to give you something to work with, some smart shit to deal with after me ranting about the show for at this point an hour and a half. Yeah, so she was chucked out of the security services, moved to this castle, and she was like, I want to make the best spy or something. So she caught the nanny stealing, went to the nanny's caravan, found Alexander, Alec, whatever his name is, they're all the same name, finds him drawing pentagons on windows, and is like, this child is a genius! I will make him my spy. Essentially. She doesn't say that, but, you know, she says that in my head. And adopts him. And basically what happens is the nanny looks after him, and the mum looks after his mind, and makes sure he's super clever. And then comes a great scene where Ben Wishaw's like, show me his room, show me where he really liked to do his work, because he's like, again, he's more like Cockney, less posh than the rest of them. Oh fuck! I've skipped so much. And she has a key around her neck. And they go to unlock this room. They go up these winding staircases, up and up and up and up and up, and they unlock this big room, and the room is filled with equations. Equations written on the wall. Equations written on glass. Equations written on the ceiling. Because this child was so talented that he just needed to write equations everywhere. Yeah, there's fucking graphs that go down. There's graphs that go up. There's the sum of signs. There's a few x's, y's, minus y squareds everywhere. And it's revealed. Okay. It's revealed that the fake mum, Cruella de Vil, was there when fucking your smart boy was murdered. And she asked him if he would stop dating Ben Whishaw, if he'd stop doing his work, and if he'd moved to America. And then it's revealed that they used his own lying technology on himself to prove that he was lying. It was like his mind palace, Renault Twinkle. Great name, by the way, Renault Twinkle. I like it. Yeah, it's basically his mind palace, where he's there fucking on the roof. He's writing on the roof. Just give him a notebook. Just give him a fucking laptop. What? He doesn't need the walls. Use a fucking note. Just use a notebook. Just use a notebook, man. It's fucking like, why is everyone writing on walls? What's going on? Why is this a thing? Why is this a thing that happens? That people are writing on walls and on windows. It doesn't make any sense. Like, just use a fucking notebook. That, like, you can get a nice notebook from like Asda for like £4. You can get a shit one from WH Smith for £1. Just use a notebook. Why the walls? And it's in chalk. Why is it in chalk? Are the walls are chalkboards? What is going on in this fucking child's life that he needs to write down these equations? Why does the child know what the equations mean? It's insane. It's a fucking insane thing to happen. This is like an episode after this is maybe the same episode in which the main sort of emotional linchpin of the show, Jim Broadbent, is supposed to have hanged himself or been murdered by, and then there's this fucking like, there's a fucking blackboard room. Like, if the room was made of blackboards, that's what's happened. It's insanity. It's a fucking wild shit. I don't know what that. It's so weird. It's so weird. And then basically what happens is the real mum burns down a hedge maze, because what tipped them off as the child was smart was that he solved a hedge maze. Hedge mazes aren't that difficult to solve. It's not that hard. But she burns down the hedge maze, and then Ben Whishaw and Cruella de Vil decide to, I don't know, take down the secret services between themselves, on their own. And it's like, I don't know, it's fucking weird. The whole Annabelle, the zoo thing really is the moment when the show fucking loses its shit. The zoo thing is probably the jump shark moment of this series, which was weird. Oh, Mr. J Max said 0291, you have missed a lot. It was not a good show. I missed one thing. What was it that I missed? Oh yes. So one of the things I missed in this show was after Jim Broadbent is killed, Ben Whishaw inherits his place, and he's like, I'm gonna send the magic book to all the journalists in the world. I'm gonna send it by post and send it by email. And he prints he prints off all these copies of the magic book with like numbers and pentagons and code in places, and sends them to all these places, and sends emails of them, and he gets like returns blank pages, and then his parents show up, and his parents are like tricking him into like getting a photo with them so that they can I think so. What happens? Ben Whishaw has been estranged from his parents, hence why he's so close to Jim Broadbent, who's now dead. And his parents come back and they're like, your dad's dying. Your dad's on death's door. So you got to come back and you got to fucking make amends. And Ben Wishaw's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do that. And he goes back to the house and like, and they take a photo together. And it turns out the camera deletes the contents of the pen drive that the magic book is on. And it's like just, I don't know why they needed the parents to do that. They could have just like waited until he was in public and got someone to take a picture of him. It's weird. It's weird. Tamash, if you're still listening, if there's anything I forgot, let me know, because I think I've been ranting about this show for almost 2 hours. There's undoubtedly things I forgot about this fucking wild ride of a show that I needed to talk about. I simply needed to talk about. Any questions about? Oh, that's what we're gonna do. We were gonna watch the trailer for London Spy. Let me try and find a trailer for London Spy, and then we can all watch that together. London Spy. What's up, Sinan? You've just missed me talking for 2 hours about London Spy, the most insane show I've seen in a long time. Oh, Annabelle, it's fucking insane. Let's watch this trailer. See if this works. Let me just make sure my OBS has got the right shit up. Desktop audio. Let's see. So 1 second. Let's see if I can get desktop audio working.
And I should say in advance that I don't mind.
You can hear this?
But
1 second. Let me get to the camera and screen capture. Just rolled in from a stream. We were also talking about London Spy. Fucking really? Did you watch London Spy? Alright, okay. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this trailer and see what it's like. And then I want Sinan to talk about London Spy in chat because it's fucking insane. Here's the trailer.
I was wondering, and I should say in advance that I don't mind, but did you carry out some kind of background check on me?
The way we met was unusual.
I don't think this is a trailer. I think this is actually just a clip.
So, you thought, stranger, seduction.
This is boring. This is just a clip. That's just a clip of them. This is there's the trailer. That was just a clip of when they were fucking. That was where the maps came about. I'm so angry about the maps. This looks like a trailer.
Do you believe in soulmates?
I don't have any secrets from you.
It's hard for me to believe you were in a serious relationship when you don't even know his name.
Your son was murdered. Everything you read about his death is a lie.
Alex! They built that attic out of my past. All the stupid things I've done.
You're talking about spies and conspiracies. Look at you.
Alistair could be anything a person wanted him to be. Danger, pain,
This fucking
submission.
woman.
Sex was just another form of decryption.
I stole something.
It needs a code.
Whatever Alex discovered, no one wants in the open.
Get as far away from these people as you can.
Occasionally, it's right to be afraid.
London Spy premieres Thursday, January 21st.
Here's something else, right? You know that scene in this trailer. Let me try and find it. Okay. This is the number fucking sphere, the number zoo fucking thing. Oh, it's not even a show about the UK. And, like, that's smarter than the show it is. This shit. This is the magic book. The numbers are the magic book. That's what the magic book is. This bit, right? Oh, let me try and get here. This is supposed to be in a fucking This is supposed to be a police station. This is supposed to be a police station right here. This fucking panopticon is supposed to be a police station. He gets like interviewed by the police in this context. It's so fucking weird. I couldn't figure out for a while if it was supposed to be a police station or not, or if it was supposed to be like Secret Service. I was like, must be Secret Service, right? If it's like out in the open like this, if it's like that, this must be a Secret Service thing. But no, it's like everyone's just a police officer. It's fucking weird. It's a bad show. It's a bad show. It's a great show. I loved it, but it was also terrible. I think that might be everything I have to say about the show. Is there anything else? Anything else to say about the show? I mean, to be honest, if I watched it again, there might be. Frankly, the performance of, let me try and find the fake mother number 2, Cruella de Vil. Let's try and find her. You'll all recognise her when you see her. Oh yeah, here she is. Aye, this woman, Cruella. This is the fucking moat and castle of Cruella de Vil. Aye, this moment here. This is around the same moment where she's like, I suppose you think I'm cool. Maybe I am. This is her. I recognise this woman. She's been in like good shows, right? Lots of like good folk are in this show. What 3 changes would I make? There are not 3 Okay. So there are 2 different directions this show could have gone in, right? This show could have gone fully insane, fully mad spy shit. And that would have been like fine. You're like, okay, this is insane. This is a stupid, insane show. Doesn't matter. You're gonna get Cruella de Vil hammy acting. Just notice the jumper. Hey! Anyway, you could have gone like Cruella de Vil hammy acting, and it would have been like, fine. You know, this is an insane show for insane watching. It's silly, fine. Take out all the really like somber and, you know, the odd good bit of the show where they're talking about things like real world issues. Take out that shit and you've got a mad Kingsman style spy show, like an insane romp, whatever. Fine, good stuff. Or you go the other way and you decide that what we're gonna do is have an interesting like show about interpersonal. Like, it would have been better if they'd focused on like the immediate characters of this guy's life. They focused on him, Jim Broadbent. They focused on the person he lived with. Maybe they had his family involved. You know, and it was a question of like, is the reality that he's portrayed as finding this character alone in this box? Is that the reality of what happened? Is there intrigue? Is there interpersonal mystery? Do we know who to trust, who not to trust? That'd be an interesting show. That'd be like a good show. It probably wouldn't be as fucking insane and entertaining, and I wouldn't be able to do fucking 2-hour streams about how insane and entertaining this show is. But it would be better. Let me see if I can try and find the moment where the dad, the fucking real fake dad is revealed, because it is one of the most insane shots I've ever seen in my life. Real mother. Let's see if I can find this. Oh, Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I found a different scene. This is the professor who writes on the whiteboard, and is like, who's really smart. This is the kind of like S sound that only particular kinds of posh people know how to do. Like appreciation. It's the same as like homosexual. That same sort of weird S. Annabelle B. I mean, like, it's only particular posh people who know how to pronounce that S. In my view, that S that's in there is the most homophobic S in the world. Like, yeah. He's not going to change my world. He's going to change the world. That S, that homosexual. Fucking hell, like that is a homophobic S. Let's see. What can I find? London Spy. I suppose you think I'm cruel. Oh, cruel. I've not even spelled cruel right. Doesn't look like I can find it. I want people to be able to see this. Yeah, it's a homophobic S. It's like the linchpin of homophobia, that S. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can find much else. It's amazing that this show doesn't have more of a cultural following, considering how fucking terrible it is. But again, it is great, and I would watch it again. It's also terrible, and I hate it, but I will watch it again at some point because I love it. It is terrible. Yeah. Yeah, it is the polar opposite of the cool S you draw at school. So that's all I have to say about fucking London Spy, I think. Any Ridley Road? I've not seen Ridley Road. Oh my god. Sorry, I just fucking so many notifications. Turns out I'm incredibly popular. Yeah. Any questions? Oh, I've almost drank a bottle of wine talking about this show. Oh my god. I guess I could talk about something smart for a bit. To be honest, I think this is probably the best stream I've ever done. This show has broken me on like an emotional and a psychological level, in a way that maybe no other shows could do. Ayo Pinko Punko. You know, we speak the truth here. Yeah, this show hurt me. It's been a challenge. I was having a really nice day today. I talk about this show really brought out a degree of anger that has been missing in this day. So I'm glad I talked about it. I was being too chill today. My blood pressure was too low. Sean Tyson, I've got my gonna be filming Chicken Run tomorrow. I'm gonna be filming Chicken Run video tomorrow for patrons. A lot of hate watching. Did you just finish it? I finished it last week on Saturday. So Chicken Run video is being finished tomorrow. Being filmed tomorrow. Hopefully finished next week for patrons. If you're not a patron, sign up if you want to see me talk about Chicken Run. Otherwise, that's the limit of my media criticism. This is the limit of my media criticism. Maybe one day I'll do an actual video on this show, on this, how wild this show is. But I feel like I covered all the bases here, and I don't want to give it more time than it deserves, which is essentially no time. But I've given it 2 hours. Chicken Run is the greatest text since Marxist text since State and Revolution. Chicken Run has some legitimately good. My broadcast sign up for 1 month just for that. Welcome, innocent fugitive. If you can't afford to sign up, don't sign up. I'll also be putting it up. I'll probably gonna put the video up for non-patrons on like the 29th of December. So December's gonna have 2 videos. I'm not gonna manage to get the one I'm working on now. I'm not gonna manage to get that out for November probably, because it's based on theoretical work that I'm building from PhD stuff, which is interesting, and it's gonna be an interesting video, but it is hard to write because it's basically all coming from me, so I want to make sure I'm not talking shite. So hopefully gonna have that video out like first or second week of December, and then we're gonna put the Chicken Run video out on maybe the 29th of December. As like a wee end of year treat for everyone. But it'll be out for patrons. I'll be out for patrons probably next week. Sean Tyson, JTD Discord server when, by the way? We have a Discord server for $5 and up $5 and up patrons. If you've, I don't think I can manage a Discord server in any sort of reasonable way, so it's just for like patrons of a certain level and up, so I can manage it without it descending into hell. From what I've heard about a lot of Discord servers, is that they turn to hell kind of easily. So $5 and up patrons access to Discord server. It's got some stuff going on. We've got some interesting stuff happening. Happening. Sorry, my mum's just texted me about going to Winter Wonderland. I did let her know. Sorry, 1 second. Let Heather know. Okay, sorry. Mum's told her to let my sister know about something. 1 second. Sinan, yeah, your Discord server is decent. I'm hardly ever on Discord that much. I try to like reply to stuff as quickly as possible and like just trying to chat with folk. There's been a lot of interesting stuff about the Swedish political situation going on in the Discord right now, which is really interesting. Just on Discord when you're working bored. Yeah. So yeah, Discord exists for $5 and up patrons because I just don't have the time to manage it if it's more, and I don't want it to descend. I basically want it to be a chill vibe zone where only the chillest of vibes are imbibed, and they keep going. Opinions on the band Runrig. Oh, I used to work a lot of weddings. I have worked a lot of weddings in my time. The song Loch Lomond can send me to fucking hell. I hate that song with such a burning passion that I can't even describe it. It is the worst song ever written. Everything about it I hate. I hate the smug fucking sense of Scottish superiority that emanates from that song. I hate the sound of it. The music is bad. I hate the lyrics. I hate the fact that it was played at every single work fucking wedding I ever did. I hate it so much. It's like burns inside of me how much I hate it. What did I do at weddings? I did fucking everything at weddings. I have been a fucking bartender. I have been a waiter. I have been a fucking whatever they call the people who direct folk to the right areas within weddings. I've done everything at weddings. I've worked basically every single hospitality job under the fucking sun. You name it, I've worked it. I hate run rig with such a burning passion that if I saw them in the street, I might not murder them. I hate run rig so much. I'll tell you wrong. I went to a wedding once. One of the funniest wedding stories. Oh, let me tell you some funny wedding stories. First of all, I've not been to many weddings as a guest. One of the ones I have been to was my Uncle Alistair's wedding. He was getting married, and he was like 55 or something, and he was getting married. Alistair's an odd bloke, an interesting and funny bloke. He used to sell heated paintings. Odd guy. And he was getting married, and he had his wedding on Loch Ness, and it was a wedding of such pure Dunkenness that it's difficult to describe. He walked in. So he walked in a sort of that was my Uncle Alistair, my Uncle Alec, my Uncle Alexander. They're the same name. Reminder, same guy, same name. And he walked in his ill-fitting suit to get married. And as his bride walked in, we were supposed to sing. Oh, there were not bagpipes at this wedding. We could not afford that. He walked in, his bride-to-be walked in, and everyone was supposed to sing along. But Duncans are not the most self-confident of people. So there was just like a horde of like Duncans with big chins and low self-esteem mumbling the words to Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do. And then just my dad fucking pelting it out, because he loves singing. He's a choir man. He loves singing. He was like, he was just belting out, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do. I'm half crazy for the love of you. And then the rest, everyone else was coming at different times, different keys, different fucking songs. And then after the deed was done, the marriage was had, everyone was satisfied, and the whole wedding went out to the reception area where we'd been promised free booze. I was a bit young to get the free booze at this point. I was about 14. But everyone was excited to get free booze, and we got to the bar, and the bartender said, "Sorry, it's not an open bar. That wasn't arranged beforehand." I don't know if you've ever heard like 40 people go, "Ah, fuck's sake," all at once. I'll never forget it. It was a real beautiful moment. And then my my brother started talking to my cousin's girlfriend at the time, who was a very devout Catholic woman, and my brother thought it was a good idea to talk about whether or not they do novelty chocolate popes outside the Vatican City, and really offended my cousin's girlfriend. They didn't last. That was a fun wedding. But the best wedding experience I've ever had in my life was when I worked. Strap yourselves in, folk. It's story time. Oh, that's bad wine. So, I worked this wedding. I used to work in a place called House for an Art Lover in Glasgow, where they did lots of weddings, and they had like a mix of them. They had some sort of nicer, sort of very middle class, very like tasteful weddings that had like pumpkin arrangements, fucking autumn flower arrangements, and they did less posh ones as well. And this wedding that I worked was the former. It was a very tasteful wedding. It was very nice, very uptight, and it was between this very posh son of a private practice GP in Glasgow, someone from like Bearsden, a very posh area, and he was marrying this very beautiful, very working class woman from the south side, from like Govan or something. The groom was not a looker. He was not a particularly hot guy. And the first thing that was notable about this wedding was that none of the bride's family were there. None of her friends were there. She had one maid of honour, but no one else. Bearsden and Govan. It wasn't Govan Hill. I think it was Govan. It was a contrast. The contrasts were many. She was very beautiful, very like resplendent, very poised, and he was a fucking mess. He was a sort of like when we were serving the ideal distance from the mic. When we were serving dinner, the groom was already quite drunk, and we served up dinner, and me and the other waiters at this time started noticing that there was chat about where the groom's family, reminder, the bride had no family, the groom had family, and the groom's family kept saying things like he's married below himself, he's married too low, she's not good enough for him. Entirely untrue. She was way out of his league. So we were already kind of on edge about the kind of wedding this was. This beautiful, tasteful wedding with like autumn arrangements. It had like signs plastered up, things like saying, take photos to tag such and such, like, let's say, John and Jesse's love. Tag this on Instagram and we'll find the wedding photos. Very tasteful, very, very beautiful wedding. And all the groom's family were like, oh, she's married below herself. He's married below himself. This woman is not good enough for him. And this sort of came out during service. And I after dinner service, everyone went downstairs to the bar area, and I was left tidying up, and I started like clearing up, doing everything. It was fine. The good thing about clear up is you get spare food and spare drink. Technically, though not supposedly, you're not supposed to, but you know, you can down a few drinks. So we started doing that, and then about an hour after they'd gone down, I went down to take over the bar shift, and the person who I was relieving said, the only thing he said to me was, husband's a cunt, and then he left, and I was like, cool, this is going to be a fun one, this is going to be a fun night. So I got onto the bar. The groom, is at the bar already, ordering 3 Jaeger bombs. At this place you couldn't do Jaeger bombs. What we could do was, you could do Jaeger and then a shot of Red Bull. I don't know, it was a weird place. He'd ordered 3 of them, he downed them, didn't pay. It wasn't a free bar, he didn't pay. So it was like the folk here was just like, oh fuck it, I'll pay, don't worry. He could not stand he was like leaning on his best man. His wife was in the corner looking unhappy. And then the first dance song came on, and he could not do it. He stood up. He started leaning on his wife, like she was trying to hold him up. He was just like leaning on her and like tipping forward and backwards. unable to do his first dance. And the wife sort of gave up halfway through this first dance. Started crying, which is a shame because she did nothing wrong. She was a gem the whole night. We basically agreed to give her free drinks. So her maid of honor basically came. We gave her free drinks because we already felt sorry for her. The groom got more and more drunk. And at one point we had to stop serving him at his own wedding, and he started trying to pick a fight with like bartenders and with folk around him. And then moving back to when the bride started crying, the family again started up with, he's married below himself. She's embarrassing herself at this wedding. She's making a fool of herself, as if she was the one who was making a fool of herself in this situation. So fast forwarding again, the groom was unhappy that we'd cut him off, and his best man came up to him and was like, "Mate, you're so drunk. You're so drunk. You can't stand. This is too far. Like, have a glass of water. It's fine." And his reaction to that was to punch his best man in the face, and his best man's reaction to that was to punch his groom in the face. And so what happened was me and a couple of the bartenders had to break up a fight between the best man and the groom at the wedding in the middle of the dance floor, and hold up the groom as he was still swinging at this best man. And this went on and on and on, and like us behind the bar, we were just taking photos, and we like take a photo and be like, should we post this and tag it with tag this one with like John and Jesse's love or whatever it was. We didn't do it, but it was a fun speculation. But the real like cherry on top of this whole situation, the real beautiful moment that made this maybe one of the best days of my life, was that eventually the groom left, but he did not leave with his wife. He left the wedding, his own wedding, with his mother, and drove back to his childhood home with his mother, which, it was such a beautiful moment for me. Such a beautiful moment for me to see. I've never heard of or seen of anything else. So I did hear that the next day, apparently, I wasn't working the next day because I was like working till like 3 a.m. at this wedding. The cat is meowing. He's upset that no one's paying attention to him. So the next morning, what happened? I heard from people working the cafe the next morning, was that the bride and groom and the family of the groom came in, and they had a discussion about what to do next at the cafe the next morning, and they agreed to go on the honeymoon and see where it goes. I don't know what happened after that. All I hope for is that this poor woman got the alimony that she deserves for putting up with that prick. And was the most beautiful day of my life. Maybe not of anyone else's, but one of the best days of work I've ever had. Big fan. So, did they play They didn't play Loch Lomond at that wedding. that was too. It was too tasteful for Loch Lomond. They had their own band, and the band didn't play Loch Lomond. It was truly one of the best days of my life. I remember telling my mum about this story, and she was enraptured by it. It was so good. Any more videos on white leftists giving Rittenhouse? I feel like all that I have to say on the topic has been said. It's obviously, this is a big tonal shift. Obviously fucking gross. Anyone who's defending Kyle Rittenhouse, who's a fucking murderer. Like, clearly that's bullshit. I feel like the explanation about why people are defending him, it can be gleaned relatively easily from the content I put out about that already. My general thought of feeling with videos is, if I can find something new and valuable to say about a topic, I will say it. So maybe not. Depends. Altair, it was one of the best days of my life. The only other wedding I've like actually been to is my cousin's wedding in Aberdeen, which is it was a good wedding. It was a fun wedding. It was tasteful. It was actually a fucking beautiful wedding. That wedding. It was in December, in like 2018, I think. While I was working in that same place, and it was in Aberdeenshire. Oh, a wedding in December in Scotland is a risky thing, but my cousin got lucky and it was really snowy. People could still make the wedding. I got to wear a kilt. It was nice. It was a nice wedding. My cousin-in-law, is that a thing? A cousin-in-law? We just call him Sam. He has some of the best dancing I've seen in a while. Great guy. Renault Twinkle. I don't even know Loch Lomond. Is it like Scottish Wild Rover? I don't know what Wild Rover is. Loch Lomond. It's a bad song. Let's find Loch Lomond. Runrig. It's a classic wedding tune. There we go. Let's see. So when it gets faster, join into the middle of the circle. It's a bad song. It's a bad song with, I hate it. But it's played at like 90% of Scottish weddings. Look how disappointing. I went to a wedding recently and the reading before the ceremony was a dramatic version of Never Gonna Give You Up. That's fucking incredible. I want to go to that wedding. That's a good wedding. Loch Lomond is a bad song. Sorry, Altair, it's a bad song. It's a bad song. Basically, okay, what I was saying, during... You stand in a circle, you cross your arms like that, and then when it gets fast, you all run into the middle of the circle, then run out of the circle again. That's it. It's not very exciting. It's an annoying song. Don't like it. It was a lesbian and trans wedding. It was awesome. I sounds awesome. Loch Lomond is a nice lake. A bit like the Scottish Hokey Cokey, yeah. Yeah. So that's my wedding stories. I had more wedding stories. I worked weddings. I used to work in the Autumn Moor in Glasgow. If anyone knows that, it's a nice pub. But I had a big function room. Cruarley. You mentioned in a previous stream you got a degree relating to human rights or sociology and worked for NGOs. I'm going to get a major in sociology and I'm wondering how I can break into that field. Oh, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. So my master's was in human rights and international politics. I I worked for, basically I worked for an NGO. I ended up a vice chair of an NGO before starting my PhD. The way I got into that was just emailing folk. Glasgow's a smaller place than like Glasgow's like a small community, so it depends on where you are. My advice, as much as that exists, would be to, I don't know, man, look at what is close to you, what seems interesting, and just email folk. In most NGOs, they're looking for help, so just do what you can, look for help. I would say that from my experience, you're not going to find the kind of meaning that you're looking for in that kind of work. And making your job NGO work. If you're kind of a socialist or communist, which if you're sitting on my channel, you might well be. You're likely not going to find that sort of meaning from that kind of work. If you want to work for a community organising group, that's great. Be prepared that your work doesn't give you the meaning that you want. I'm sorry that that's a depressing thing to say. It's a bit true. I worked for that NGO for about 2 years, and I worked full time at another NGO for a year, and it was incredibly disheartening. Yeah, just if you want to work for somewhere, emailing people, just being forthright, saying you've got these skills, you want to get involved, you want to do whatever you can. Just email someone. Someone will likely get back to you. Sorry for being depressing. People make Glasgow fucking hell. When it comes to applications, quantity always counts over quality. Send as much as you can. Yeah. The thing about applications, a lot of what I've heard from employers is just a numbers game. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to break into. Cruelly saying, yeah, it's something I'm worried about with meaning. Like Oz Harvest is a liberal version of Food Not Bombs, but it's still an interesting NGO. God, do more research. What I will say is, like, don't not apply for these things because they don't necessarily give you the meaning that you need out of life. Because we all need jobs and we all need to live. I would like to, be able to live with money and a regular income. That would be nice. But don't expect to find a job which necessarily fills that gap. If you find a job that you like and you like doing, that's great. I've liked doing jobs that were essentially horse shit before, and that's fine. But you might not necessarily find the meaning that you're after from working in the charity sector. I haven't worked in the charity sector myself. You get a lot of extra exploitation. So when I worked for welfare rights, a lot of the welfare rights supervisors, welfare rights advisors, bankruptcy advisors, all these people tended to be exploited, like extremely exploited, because they all got into the role, wanted to help folk, and the management relied on that fact to get them to do overtime, unpaid, to get them to do increasingly more and more work for the good of the NGO. And the NGO got more money, which didn't always go to the workers. Didn't usually go to the workers, but it relied on them wanting to do good. I'm going to tell you a story right now about the charity job I worked for when I was in Glasgow. I worked for a charity in Glasgow, and the way that it worked was so nepotistic, so built on what the CEO wanted it to be built on. The friends of the CEO got jobs. One of those friends was a former lawyer who was disbarred and banned from practicing law because they had stolen £250,000 worth of client money. And the only reason that they didn't serve jail time was because they agreed to never work in that kind of capacity again. And they ended up working in a role that required them to handle the money of this NGO. And one day I was asked by this person to deposit a cheque of £500,000 from a funder to the bank. And I was walking around the city with this £500,000 cheque in my pocket. And it was after that I learned that the person who gave me that cheque should not have legally been allowed to handle it. And the only reason why they were was because they were friends with the CEO. And that is a very common, from what I hear from friends who work in NGO sectors, that is a very sort of common dynamic, that basically friends of CEOs get these positions. It's a fucked sector, the third sector, the charity sector. As long as they're still working at what they're good at. It's fucked, man. It's fucked. Still, the job was depressing. That was the job that I, if anyone's seen the video on my bullshit job, that was that job on welfare. Yeah, Crew Arley, you're right. Like, as long as it's structured like that, the profit motive is still central, and it's still central to how these NGOs are structured, and a lot of it is built on ego. My manager in that job was great. I know it's unsocialist to praise a manager, but she was wonderful, and she should have been running the place. Unfortunately, the CEO had all the power. The job was depressing. I guess, like, the but in that sentence, like, the job was depressing. If anyone's seen the video on that job, on the bullshit job, it was incredibly depressing, but it's probably the job that I've had that has had most impact on people's lives, which is something that made it harder to leave. Because you did a lot, like, you helped people get benefits that they were entitled to, which makes a huge difference to someone's life. The difference between having no money and having like £160 with all of your PIP and UC claims included is significant, and it makes a big difference to people's lives. But one of the things that had such a high turnover, aside from the management, which was a different issue, but one of the things that had such a high turnover about that job was because a lot of the welfare rights advisors found that they were just sort of sticking their hand in like a dike, in a wall. They realised that they were foot soldiers trying to sweep back a flood. And that's a difficult position to be in. To realise that while, like, as a different sort of scale, you realise that while your work could potentially change the life of one person, it's essentially useless in changing a system which is destroying people's lives. And it was a very difficult job, that job. It was very soul destroying. And, you know, a lot of it was basically working in a call centre, where you'd answer phones 7 out of 8 hours a day, and everyone was mad at you, depressed, sad. Yeah, it was a hard job. Not something I would want to go back to. This stream took a turn. We were supposed to just be talking about a fun fucking show, but I've been talking about my deepest, saddest job stories. An alcoholism charity in my country is the exact same. They recently hired a guy who lost his nursing licence because he stole like 40,000 DKK from patients at the elderly home he worked at. Yeah. No, Crew Arley, you're alright. We could start talking about genocide, it's fine. And anyone got fun questions? Any fun questions? I'm going to stick around till 1:30. At 11, I'm doing an interview with Bothered Boy, if anyone knows Bothered Boy's channels. Doing an interview with him for his, I think he's got a new podcast. Can I juggle? Oh, it's a great shame. I can juggle, yeah. I can juggle. I'm down with a clown, unfortunately. Kitten! Yes, I'll bring the kitten. Hold on. I'll get the kitten. He's a wee bastard sometimes, but I will get him. Here he is. He's a wee menace. How did I get the hoodie printed? I just printed it. There he is. You got fans, man. You got fans. Tequila. Alright, that's probably enough. He's gonna cause trouble if I keep him in here any longer. I'll take him out. Aberdeen hot takes. I'll give you an Aberdeen hot take when I get back. Sorry for waking up, but the channel wanted to see you. More Aberdeen hot takes. I don't really like Aberdeen very much. It's a bit shit. I've spent more time in Aberdeen in recent years than previously before because my brother lives there. It's just not very good. Sorry for anyone living in Aberdeen. I also just tend to associate it with going up to Shetland. Yeah, more like Aberdeen. Aberdeenshire is quite nice. Did you see Devil's poetry collection on the Red? I did see Devil's. If anyone doesn't know, oh fuck, what's Devil's handle? Davil, my friend Davil, is a poet, and he had a publication in Radical Art Review, which is worth checking out. He did this thing where he during TWT, he drew a circle and had different people contribute a line to this circle. Mine were not very poetic. Mine were just an expression of anxiety about not knowing what to do, and also an expression of appreciation for Bugfast. The two things that are worth having. Samuel Wilkins, how would you react if you found out your cat could talk and cat's favourite song is Loch Lomond? I would immediately introduce him to better music. You know, if he can talk, he can appreciate better music. Round Robin. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Cat misses you. I know, Tamash. I picked him up. I showed the chat. Chat's enjoyed Cat for a wee bit. What's on everyone's mind? How are you, chat? We've not paid enough attention to you tonight. I've been mainly kind of ranting about this terrible fucking show. I'm sticking around for 20 more minutes, and I'm gonna take a half-hour break before I do that podcast with Bothered Boy. Donald, where's your trousers? I remember Donald, where's your trousers? We used to, when we were kids, we had the best Scottish party album in the world, it was called. And when we were kids, on every Friday, we'd have all of our friends round. Because my mum had a big van, a big green van, so everyone could fit in the big green van. And everyone used to come around our house. And we used to stand on the chairs in the kitchen and dance to either Party, which was a 2001 party CD, or we'd at Tiger Tyrone, as Dad was at, or we'd dance to the best Scottish party album ever, which included Donald, Where's Your Trousers, Proclaimers, all that shite. Yeah, fun. I'm good. Things are a bit cooked in Melbourne and Australia in general at the moment. No, what with anti-vax populists, far righters, fucking hell, things are shit in Australia. What was I going to say? I recently introduced a friend to Bob Catter. Has anyone in chat know of Bob Catter? What's the drink tonight? It was wine. I finished the wine. I kind of want more wine, but I finished the wine. Bob Catter. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Let me introduce you to Bob Catter. And perhaps the greatest video on YouTube. Bob Catter. Let 1,000 blossoms bloom. Oh, so good. This is the most Australian man in the fucking world. Let me get the different scene up. There we go.
I mean, you know, people are entitled to their sexual proclivities. You know, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned. You know, but I ain't spending any time on it because in the meantime, every 3 months, a person is torn to pieces by a crocodile in North Queensland.
It's perfect. What a perfect encapsulation of Australia. Like, come on. Can you get anything better than that? I don't think you can. People are entitled to their sexual proclivities. But I ain't talking about that anymore. And because every 3 months, a person's torn to pieces by a crocodile in South Queensland. It's so good. He's a perfect Australian. He's like the fucking apex of Australia. Fuck it, I love him. I mean, he's an absolute bastard, but I love him. Pinko Bunko, he said every 3 months a person is torn to pieces by a crocodile in Queensland. So he's not talking about letting 1,000 blossoms bloom. Because he wants to talk about He wants to talk about fucking crocodiles. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to talk about crocodiles? I love Bob Carter. Anytime someone new exists that hasn't been introduced to Bob Carter, I get like a visceral excitement in my body. It's like, oh fuck yeah, I get to talk about Bob Carter for a while now. The most insane man in the world. He wears cowboy hats. He's insane. It's amazing. What else could you want? He goes around in that 10-gallon hat, yeah. It's so good. I assume everyone's seen the Democracy Manifest video, right? Another classic of the Australian genre. Let me find that. This is Democracy Manifest is another classic video. This is Democracy Manifest. I love Democracy Manifest. It is the absolute perfect. We're just going to watch it right now because I want to, and you're beholden to me, I'm afraid. Chat, you have no control here. I am in control.
An American Express investigator followed a man.
Right? I don't want to hear about.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
American Express investigator followed a man he thought.
I don't want to hear the news story around it. Nobody wants to hear the news story around it. Here we go.
Just a moment, you just assured me that I could speak.
Sit down inside the car. We're not assuring anything. We're under arrest.
Look, I'm under what?
Come on.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
Get some cups.
Why did you do this to me?
Hop in the car. Get some cups.
For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock, sir. Oh, yes. I see that you know your judo well. Good one. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis? Now, get your hands off there. Ta-ta and farewell. One cup, look. They've been broken.
Oh, it's perfect. It is the best thing. I love it. What? You know, sometimes life can be hard. Let's get serious for a second. I'm gonna get full camp counselor for a second. Life can be hard. Life can be a challenge. But sometimes we forget that videos like Bob Carter saying, "Let 1,000 blossoms bloom," or "This is Democracy Manifest," exist. And they really highlight that the depth and expanse of the universe is truly a beautiful thing. And it is a privilege to be alive for a brief time on this cosmic egg to experience these. And it may bring a tear to my eye, but let's break down these ideas of masculinity and cry at the beauty of the universe for Democracy Manifest and let 1,000 blossoms bloom, for they are truly beautiful. I may have drank too much wine and got too mad about that TV show. I wish I had more booze. I feel like getting messy. You knew your judo well. I don't know why I did it in that voice. you know, it's been a fun stream. Born too late to explore the earth, born too early to explore the stars. Oh, the wine rack. Tamash. Do I dare? Do I dare go for the wine rack? I might dare. Okay. Okay, folks. 10 minutes left. What do you mean message on stream when? We're on message on stream now. Okay, 1 minute, I'll be back. Tamash, Arabella, is this good? Is this acceptable? It's like the wine. I feel bad. Like, you buy that wine rack. I don't want to steal people's wine. I just, you know. Oh, sorry, my sister. I've just got a message from my sister. She's giving me a row for not reading messages in time. Oh, well. Sorry, 1 second, I'm just replying to my wee sister. Right, wine. I know I know, Tamash, you've told the wine rack is I still feel bad. I can't affect that. What was I talking about? Oh, okay, cool. Tamash doesn't like Annabelle, so that's fine. Fuck, I've got shit to do tomorrow. I can't be drinking so much wine. I've missed chats. Pinko Punko, you missed the hefty pours. That's not a hefty pour. I poured half a fucking bottle of wine into that glass a while ago. Fuck it, I'm relying on chat. Chat, say something interesting to me so I can riff off that for another wee while. What do I think about the new shopping centre in Edinburgh? The shopping centre in Edinburgh that is shaped like a giant golden turd? What do I think of the Golden Turd shopping centre in Edinburgh? I think it's shaped like a giant golden turd. I've not been inside it, but it's shaped like a giant golden turd. And that is fucking insane. You tear down a famously horrible building and replace it with a literal golden turd. Fucking, okay. Kieran says wine is for losers. Oh, fucking, okay, Kieran, go talk to Cedric Robinson about it. I don't give a fuck about what you think. St James, new St James Centre. It's a giant turd. Let's find the giant turd. Check it out. It's a fucking giant turd. Look at it. Giant turd. Giant turd. Giant turd. I don't know why they did that. They decided we're going to tear down a horrible building and plant a giant turd there. And someone thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And then it got through several layers of planning. Name a book or idea you really hate that a lot of people still use. One that springs to mind recently was how have I forgotten? New Imperialism by fucking hell, how have I forgotten that name? So a lot of my stuff right now is on primitive accumulation, right? And The New Imperialism by David Harvey is a bad book. It is not a good book. But the chapter on original accumulation is really influential. So you're in this sort of weird position of having to like read this bad book which has bad ideas about imperialism and fucking capitalism and even primitive accumulation because it's just been so influential. Have I talked about Doctor Who Flux yet? I talked about Doctor Who a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to wait to give my full Doctor Who Flux opinion until I have seen the whole series. Maybe it'll make sense at the end. I'm not as angry about Doctor Who Flux because it is still better than anything else Chibnall has made so far. It's bad, but it's still better than anything else Chibnall has done. Okay, yeah, I can rant about Doctor Who. Yeah, I mean, Harvey, like, that The New Imperialism was a bad book. I've now got, like, two of Harvey's books that I have to deal with in the course of my PhD, which I think are essentially bad books, and that is his book on neoliberalism and his book on New Imperialism. They're both not great. The one on neoliberalism is a good introduction to some ideas, but isn't a good book necessarily on, like, it's not very incisive. But whereas that's very kind. I hope your weeks improve. And Democracy Manifest is beautiful, and we should all. My best ever tweets were about Democracy Manifest. What's the worst non-fiction book I've ever read? Worst non-fiction book I've ever read. The only book I've never completed is Roger Scruton's Fools, Frauds and Firebands. Something like that, and then a subtitle about the New Left. And it was just bad. My brother got me that book for Christmas one year because he hated Roger Scruton, because Roger Scruton hates modern art. My brother's an artist, and he got me this Roger Scruton book because he wanted someone to hate Roger Scruton with, and boy did that work. It's the one book I've never finished because it was just like bad. I've read other books which were bad, but I thought had some value in understanding the particular kind of bad they were. Nancy Folber's Intersectional Political Economy is a good example of that. That's a really bad book, but the particular ways in which it's bad are useful for understanding the theoretical limits of intersectionality. Roger Scruton's was just a fucking incoherent mess, fucking homophobic, horrible, stupid mess. It's one of the worst books I've ever read in my life, which made his death much funnier, and the way in which people reacted to it. Tamash, I've already vlogged the chicken run video. I'm going to film it tomorrow. I was going to film it today, but I got sidetracked with other things, so I'm going to film that tomorrow. I haven't listened to any Doctor Who audio dramas. Maybe I'll do that. I wonder if they're on, like, Spotify. That's where I normally listen to podcasts. I've been looking for a podcast to listen to. I've gotten Don't Tell Them. I've not listened to, like, my normal, like, Trash Future Extended Universe podcast in a while, just because, like, it's not anything bad with them, it's just I can't be bothered listening to politics shit right now, because my life is reading about politics shit, and I just can't be bothered listening to it on my downtime. So I might see if there's any Big Finish stuff on Spotify. I've seen all of the Twilight films, every single one of them. The moment in the last film where it was revealed to all be a dream, that's just good filmmaking. I just love how much they're the fucking troll of folk. Maggie Rogers, Scruton the Aberdeen of philosophers. That's cruel on Aberdeen. Scruton is better. Scruton is worse than Aberdeen. See you later, Pinko Bunko. Thanks for joining us. We're probably not going to hang out for very long after this. I've got to got a thing with Bothered Boy in half an hour. What's my favourite thing to talk about currently other than London Spy? Favourite thing? Aside from London Spy, I'll also say aside from my own research. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to show you my whiteboard for the next video. Okay, next video. Let's get. So let me see if I can get the OBS up so I can. Next video, right? You can't see my head right now because of chat. This is essentially the plan for next video. I couldn't use the whiteboard earlier because I've got this on. Next video we're going to be talking about primitive accumulation and subjectification and how social reproduction plays into that. And this is building some novel theoretical work into it. And this is my whiteboard for it. We've got the first part on what subjectification is, the second part on what social reproduction is, how it relates to race and gender, and the third part on breaking subjectification along with primitive accumulation. That second part should also say, says social reproduction and primitive accumulation in time. That's what that's about. Aside from that, what I like talking about right now, I'm really into, as Tamash knows, Dimension 20 right now, and I like talking about. If anyone's not watched Dimension 20, first of all, if anyone's looking for D&D content, what you should look for at first is the D&D show that I do with Xander Corvus, Chill Goblin, We're in Hell, Aranok, and Thunderpants DM on Thunderpants DM's Twitch channel. If you're looking for Dungeons and Dragons content, check that out because every Monday we do that and that's fun. I play a character called Joe Bogan who is Australian and fucking great. He's just a great himbo. I love him. But if you're looking for more D&D content beyond that, Dimension 20 is very good. I've been talking about that a lot recently, as Tamash knows. What else have we been doing? Loved your video on experience of working at welfare office. Besides your reference, do you have anything you'd recommend to people to check out after on those themes? So if you're looking on similar sort of themes as on the welfare rights job, the video on class war and pacification, neoliberalism, class war and pacification, authoritarian neoliberalism, and necropolitics, and the one on the death of neoliberalism, all of those deal with similar themes if you're looking for stuff on that. If you're looking for something more in depth, I have a paper out with the International Journal of Human Rights which deals with a lot of that stuff. If you don't have access to it, you can DM me and I'll send you the paper. Yeah, so if you want stuff on that, the link, Tamash, what are you looking for the link for? And chat's a bit behind what I'm saying. What's something I used to be really good at but aren't anymore? Used to be good at but not anymore. I used to do link for D&D stream. Let me find it. I used to do trampolining at the local leisure centre. I used to be able to do like backflips and shit. But I can't do that anymore. I don't think. It's been years since I tried that. I went ice skating yesterday, and I've not been ice skating for years. But turned out I could still ice skate, and I'm still incredibly talented. I'm looking for a Thunderpants DM. Sorry, let me just try and find this link. Here we go. Link for that in the chat. What's everyone's favourite type of chocolate? I like dark orange chocolate. I'm a big fan of that. Does ice skating make anyone else's ankles look like capitalised letter L's? What ice skating does to me is it makes I have weird legs. Makes my legs go like this. Like kind of obtuse angles. I already have that. But my dad has it worse because he had polio. So he's got like proper weird legs. Proper like obtuse angle legs. Tamash, it's because the reason I can ice skate is because I can ski, basically. Right. It's past 1:30. If anyone's got any last questions, last things they want to shove in the chat, we'll call this last call for questions before we call it a night. Because I've got other shit to do after this. My day started late and is going on late apparently. So last call for questions, and we'll call it a day after that if no one's got anything else. Annabelle's got out. I haven't yet. You too, Carly. My door is open. I'll close my door. Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining me with getting that off my chest. I needed to get that off my chest. It's been in my brain like a fucking drill going at me. Had fun parasocializing. That's right, and you know I love you all on a deep emotional level. Innocent Fugitive, I put the link up. If you click on the link up, you should be able to find it. It's Thunderpants RPG. I will be promoting the stream tomorrow for one of the fucking stupidest things I've ever done. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. I will end the stream. End the stream now. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.